Welcome to Coruzant Technologies, home of the Digital Executive Podcast.
Welcome to the Digital Executive. Today's guest is Rebecca Korn. Rebecca Korn is an esteemed financial advisor, coach, entrepreneur, and the visionary founder of Rise, Reign, Rule. With a deep-rooted passion for igniting potential, Rebecca leads a cutting-edge consulting group that is renowned for its personalized coaching and guidance, propelling individuals and businesses to achieve unprecedented levels of success. The firm places emphasis on a holistic approach to achieving results with a focus on black box thinking, adaptability, analytical skills, communication skills, strategy, and personal mastery. She has received numerous accolades for her work in the financial industry and has successfully run a team with millions under management, for which she has received national recognition for her results and strategy. Her expertise has captured the attention of industry leaders to include MarketWatch, Insurance Newsnet, Entrepreneur.com, as well as big box firms. Well, good afternoon, Rebecca. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Brian. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining. I know sometimes making time and calendars and different time zones is always a challenge, but at the end of it, I think the work's well worth it because we get to meet some amazing people across the microphone. So thank you again, Rebecca. All right, Rebecca, let's jump into your amazing story. You've got quite the career in finance and wealth management. You're a coach, an entrepreneur, and now you're the founder and CEO of Rise, Reign, Rule. Could you share with our audience the secret to your career growth and what inspires you?
I think that the base of my growth or the journey has really been about understanding the rocky road fraught with outdated paradigms and constraints that seem to have no place in the modern world of finance and still perpetuate. Many financial advisors still use a fax machine, and many people are very surprised by that factor. And it is actually a code written into the SEC format to make sure that certain signatures and such are into their system. And I was brought up in an industry to emulate a business model that felt like it was designed 40 years ago and told to set meetings in a very antiquated way. As a matter of fact, when I started into finance, I actually worked through the entire phone book, A to Z. That was my lead source. That was my lead process. This is not a movie where the person's trying to survive, but it was truly my life. And so when I started finance, I was actually homeless. I was working out of my car, and I was determined beyond anything, Brian, to make sure that the path that I was paving was something that was aligned and I wouldn't have to be confined to a model that I felt held so many other people back. And so my vision of creating change in the wealth management world, but also for women in finance, whether it's commercial real estate strategies or consultants, financial advisors specifically, or loan officers, my alignment is to really pull in the simplicity in a perplexed world. And that is really my passion. And when you have a passion and a purpose that is so aligned, nothing can really get in your way. You're constantly thinking about it. It's like the one thing that I'm always having fun daydreaming about. So it's really just threaded throughout me.
I love your story. Thank you. And a lot of people don't share being vulnerable, and you shared that story. And we get a few of those from time to time. And that just is so powerful for me, but also for our audience. So thank you again for sharing that, Rebecca. That's so awesome. Rebecca, switching gears here, let's talk about you, your company, and so forth. But your reputation precedes you in the financial world, but it wasn't always like this early on. Can you share with our audience the moment you decided to go out on your own and leave the regulatory chains that were holding you back, so to speak?
Yes, I can actually point to a specific moment in that space. I was in a firm with the managing partner, managing director. And basically what happens is you plug into a firm. They are watching your every move, making sure that you're doing things by the book, so to speak. And there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes they are trying to formulate your business in a way that doesn't feel, like I said, in alignment with you. And in order to achieve unprecedented levels of success at the very base of my being, I was raised by a Marine. I was a professional ballet dancer, and there is this competitive edge to me that really enjoys pulling out unprecedented levels of success. And for me, it was really important to be in alignment and in front of women in business because I just felt a pull toward that space, and infusing elegance and infusing eloquence into that world was something that actually alleviated a lot of the pain of the hustling entrepreneur back then. And I had gone to my managing director and I said, I'd really love to be coaching full time. I had been coaching other women in the office just as a pro bono, but also a hobby. I really loved seeing their potential ignited and the feeling that they had when they knew that they were in the world that they desired to be in. It just changes the whole person. When you're in the mode of doing the thing that you really love and in your power, there's nothing like it. And when he looked at me and he said, Rebecca, according to the FINRA or SEC regulatory pieces, you are not allowed to do that. And we were there to plan out my entire year. And I slowly started to close out my iPad. I slowly started to close my portfolio. And I looked at him and I said, I quit. And he's like, what? No, 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 we don't have to go to that place. And I'm like, no, it's not a negotiable for me. It felt like in order for me to breathe, in order to me to function as a human being, I had to do this thing. And I sold my book of business and I left my practice, which was the hardest thing for me because when you are so connected with your clients and you want to see them grow and you're dedicated to that, but you are most dedicated to impacting other women to do the same because you know that there's an exponential breakthrough in that space. I had to shift. I had to birth Rise and Roll. And I say that because it was truly like the most traumatic thing that I could have imagined in many ways. And being able to at the same time see the propelling individuals and businesses achieving unprecedented success, it just felt like everything in my life was fulfilled, even if parts of the business weren't exactly where I wanted it to be at that time. Yes, this was my path and I had to decide. It was one of those things. There was a fork in the road. I had to make a decision. And so I don't know that I can explain the how or the why. I just knew something had to be different.
Wow. Another part two or chapter two of your powerful story. Thanks again for sharing. That's so awesome. I'm still picking my jaw off the ground for someone to take a bold move like that and be able to make a decision on the spot is so powerful. So thank you for sharing that part of your story.
I honor the struggle that you're in right now. And I have faith in the fact that there will be a moment that you will have to decide as well. And I hope and I send you so much warm light to power that decision, whatever that means to you at that time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That means so much to me. Rebecca, we're going to switch gears. We're a technology podcast, publication. I'm a technologist, been it for years. We would like to ask all of our guests, regardless if you're a technologist or not, if you're leveraging any of that new or emerging technology in your business. And if not, maybe there's a cool tool or app you found useful you could share with us.
I do leverage quite a bit of technology in my business, which is actually quite funny because I wouldn't recognize myself as a tech person. I put tech into a platform that makes everything very easy for our clients and those client relationships. As a woman in finance, your connection to those clients nearly 24/7 is paramount. And being able to get control over your data is a really powerful space. And so we integrate not only behavioral science, computer programming, but also artificial intelligence data that is able to be scraped and leveraged. And it really changes lives on a variety of fronts. As far as an app recommendation, I actually don't know that I have one. Candidly, my best friend is the do not disturb on my phone, where I have committed to a circadian rhythm that is part of my biologic need around the ways that I make a decision and closing down and shutting down occasionally just to make sure I can protect as much of my blue light rays as possible and my brain function. So I would simply recommend you do not disturb more often. It produces an incredible power of peace.
I love that. Thank you. And that is so important, especially when you've got a lot of focus work you need to get done by a certain deadline. But I think you're right. It just feels great having that one less electronic thing nagging at you. So that's so awesome. Rebecca, last question of the day. If you could briefly share a tip or gem with our audience where they can find out more about financial advisement or simply take their business to the next level.
Yes. What I'll say is be more of the verb than the noun. Oftentimes we look for this perspective to identify a certain point of our lives, a narrative to end a certain cycle, or a point of the end of a chapter. And sometimes what we need most is to recognize that as we are building momentum to, even if the pace changes, allow for the paces to change. Because at the root of it all in nature, seasons are a paramount part of the ways of life. And I feel very strongly that the more that we connect with nature, the more wisdom that will give us insight into our business and into our lives as a whole. And so I very strongly recommend that as you are rewriting the narrative of your life, rewriting the narrative of business, we commit to rising consistently. And it's a beautiful embodiment of change, even if it doesn't end up exactly as you desire it. The best way to get in touch with change and expansion, I would say, if you are a woman in finance, absolutely hit us up at riserainrule.com. And Rain is spelled like a queen. So we specialize in empowering women in that space. But if you are not in that space and you are looking for just growth and really great wisdom, I would recommend the Alex Hormozi website and really diving into his content. I think that his perspective is so enriched and so valuable and so dedicated to people who are looking to create change that even if you are in finance and that's something that you start with, beautiful. But if you are somebody that's not in finance and you're really looking to rewrite the narrative or end the cycle that you're in, that will give you the fastest track into that space.
Thank you. Appreciate the gems there, what you're doing, and of course, your company and how you're helping others, especially women in that financial realm, but also some of the tips from Alex Hormozi. I also look up to him and read some of his stuff as well. So thank you for all that wrapped in a beautiful bundle today. And Rebecca, it was a pleasure having you on today, and I look forward to speaking with you real soon.
Thank you so much, Brian. I'm truly honored to be in front of your audience and being able to share space and encouraging them to heal and to rise in the expansion that they desire. So thank you so much, Brian. Thank you.
Bye for now.